Happening today at the U.S. Capitol, the Senate has passed the president's budget plan after a marathon vote on amendment to what is being called the Big Beautiful Bill. Senators from Arkansas and Oklahoma joined all but 3 Republicans in voting to advance this plan. Vice President J.D. Vance had to cast a tie-breaking vote. The measure now goes back to the House, where it already passed by just 1 vote last month. They'll now need to sign off on the changes made in the Senate today. Washington County Children's Safety Center says federal funding cuts are putting 2 of its major grants and services at risk. 2 grants, Victim of Crime and Temporary Assistance for Needy Family Program grants, make up 26% of the center's overall budget. Funding pays for critical services like forensic interviews, advocacy, and therapy. Without them, the center's executive director says many Arkansas children would no longer get the care they need.
You wish the community could see that individual child and how proud they are and all the work they've done to overcome one of the worst things that could happen to a child. And it would be devastating.
More information about the work as well as a link to donate can be found at childrensafetycenter.org. A new report tonight shows abortions in the U.S. on the rise following the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. The Society of Family Planning says there were more than 1.1 million abortions in the U.S. last year. Most took place in states where abortion remains legal. About 1 in 4 were provided through telehealth services.
With the Dobbs decision and multiple states banning abortion outright, it became clear that there would be a real need for access to telehealth abortion, increased need for access to telehealth abortion. And so multiple states passed shield laws, which means that the providers in their states can mail abortion pills to people in any part of the country, including states that have banned abortion. So in states like Arkansas and Oklahoma and 12 other states that have banned abortion outright, that is one of the main ways that people can receive pills.
Here's a look at statewide trends. Both Arkansas and Oklahoma saw abortions drop sharply after state bans took effect, but gradually rise again as telehealth providers outside state lines filled the gap. In Arkansas, the study found 350 abortions per month now come from telehealth, nearing pre-Dobbs levels. In Oklahoma, the average number today is also hovering about 350 per month, but lower than the nearly 500 recorded before the ruling.
New at 6, a car theft case in Benton County has been dropped, and prosecutors say it's not because of a lack of evidence, but because of how that evidence was obtained. Prosecutors in Benton County have dismissed that case against 20-year-old Peter Peter. They say circumstances surrounding the confession have drawn serious legal and ethical scrutiny. Court documents and an internal investigation revealed that former Gentry Police Sergeant Derek Rios allowed Peter's relative into an interview room where Peter, handcuffed and in custody, was assaulted. Documents state Rios then left the room and turned off his body camera. Peter confessed shortly after. Prosecutors say the confession was central to the case, but they can't use it because of what they describe as a breach of due process. Benton County Prosecuting Attorney Brian Sexton says the law tied his hands.
It's something that bothers me because we're not going to necessarily get a good outcome of it. And the statute of limitations issue, though, is something that I have to embrace. It's pretty clear. Case law, and unfortunately, because of the nature of the way that this case was put together, it wasn't found by anybody until it was too late.
Prosecutors say they were legally barred from filing charges against Rios or the relative due to the 1-year statute of limitations for misdemeanor battery. The Arkansas State Police completed an investigation. Rios now faces possible decertification as a law enforcement officer.
Sebastian County and the city of Fort Smith moving forward now with plans to open a consolidated 911 dispatch center. The upgrades are mandated by a new state law that requires counties across Arkansas to consolidate these call centers or public safety answering points to improve response times and coordination. The new director of the Sebastian County Communications Center tells us the goal is to improve efficiency and reduce response times.
Universally understood amongst emergency services in Sebastian County that 911 consolidation will be a benefit to them as well. There's information loss just right now that will be resolved when we consolidate. And so most of the emergency service providers in Sebastian County are looking forward to this.
City has purchased land by Highway 71 in Fort Smith for this new center. They plan to break ground by the end of the year and have the new center up and running by early 2027.
Well, happening today in Arkansas, several new laws passed during the legislative session are taking effect, including the official merger of the Arkansas Schools for the Blind and Deaf. Also taking effect today are new student loan repayment programs for state employees. And we have a list of all the new laws that are taking effect today on our website. Just text the word laws to that number right there on your screen, 479-785-5000, and we'll send you a message back with a link to the list of new laws on 5newsonline.com. Today also marks the official start of a new system for college athletes across the country. It's due to a settlement reached by the NCAA last month, allowing colleges to directly pay their student athletes up to $20.5 million every year.
5 News reporter Parker Abels is out in Fayetteville on the campus and explains more now on what it means for the future of college athletics. Parker?
Now, Darren, this means for the first time in history, college athletes will negotiate contracts with the universities they play for. I spoke with 2 sports attorneys that say this is going to be a new era for college athletics.
This new salary cap, it's officially an end to amateurism in college sports. So this is the first time in history that a school will be on the one side of the contract and a student athlete will be on the other.
Because of this, general managers are starting to become more into play on the college level.
Those people are in charge of, forming the roster. And, at the end of the day, they have a spreadsheet out with the salary cap on it. And they have to make those hard decisions of, we want to pay X player this, and, that has to translate and stay under the cap.
And now sports agents and lawyers are going to be more involved in college athletics more than ever.
There's a lot of times there's confusion, especially with people who don't understand the law the way lawyers do, on what the scope of all this is. And part of our job as lawyers is make sure that our clients understand what is happening, what is not happening, and what this means for them.
And from what Antoine Phillips with Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings Law Firm in Little Rock is hearing, football is getting the big numbers.
There are some numbers that Collins and I have seen. We talked about where, 75% of that is going to football. And then depending on who you talk to or what you look at, you see about 15 to 18% being split between men's and women's basketball.
And while the new GM for Arkansas, Remy Cofield, said Thursday that this will benefit Arkansas when competing with the larger schools like Texas, Phillips says schools like the Longhorns and Georgia Bulldogs will still find a way.
There's still going to be some oil company in Texas or car dealership in Texas who's going to find a way to get Arch Manning another $1 million.
However, of course, those Arkansas players will also be able to negotiate with third-party sources like, of course, Walmart and Tyson, like they've been able to do since 2021. Well, in Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Well, we're just days out from the 4th of July, but with the excitement, of course, also comes some risk. And area emergency departments are already preparing for more patients. As you prepare, your neighborhood and family shows. Mercy ER Medical Director Dr. Hugh Jackson says never underestimate the power of fireworks.
Enjoy the fireworks, but do it safely. Prepare. Don't take them for granted. That is a combination of fire and explosive in various forms. View it as such. And if you do, you can enjoy a nice fireworks display in a safe way.
Dr. Jackson says the ER actually typically sees more dehydration and heat stroke patients than firework injuries this season, so he encourages everyone to stay hydrated during their holiday celebrations.